everyone, welcome to Emotional Fire Academy. I am Jess. I am your driver operator on this journey. I'm an emotion coach. I help highly sensitive people up level in life, and I am a former firefighter, hence the attire. So subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week about how to up level as a highly sensitive person and evolve emotionally. So, all right, today we're going to be talking about avoid these at all costs as a highly sensitive person. Now, there are healthy coping strategies as an HSP, and there are unhealthy coping strategies. I know this from experience because I am so guilty of doing them myself. I've used both of these, and they were to my detriment. So let my mistakes help you, help you learn as a highly sensitive person. So the two things we really don't want to do as a highly sensitive person, because it can be hard. We can struggle emotionally. I certainly had struggled emotionally in the past. And so the two things we really don't want to do are isolate and lean. So let's talk a little bit more about these. And I highly recommend checking out my highly sensitive person diagnosis video. I'll put the link above. It talks about how I really believe that being a highly sensitive person can edge on an acquired brain injury. Certain patterns that we develop as HSPs actually create really unhealthy brain waves that kind of lead us down paths of unhealthy behaviors. I myself know this because I found out the hard way. So check that video out and then come back and watch the rest of this one. So when we isolate as highly sensitive people, obviously that's the easier thing to do. It's safe. It feels like, oh, if I just lock myself away in a cabin in the woods, everything's cool. I don't have to relate to others. I don't have to learn how to manage the things that I'm feeling and sensing. And at probably the lowest point in my life, I also did isolation. And isolation, unfortunately, locks us into patterns where we ruminate even more because we don't have other people to talk to bounce ideas off of. And that helps keep us healthy as highly sensitive people. Isolating pushes us deeper into our own heads and thus deeper into what can become really toxic thinking patterns, thought patterns, mental conditioning, neurochemical patterns, right? These are all ways that we condition ourselves. And so isolating actually can increase our sensitivity because when we isolate, then we don't know how to relate to others. We're losing our ability, right? That little bit of friction, that little bit of healthy friction that we get from relating to other people is good for us. And although it might seem easier to just push the world out when other people don't seem to understand us, or they frustrate us, or they disappoint us, and it seems just easier to become a hermit, right, as a highly sensitive person. I lived in a van for 2 years as a hermit. I know this. It was still the loneliest times in my life. It was really hard for me to do that. Like I needed that comfort and safety of being alone, but yet I yearned for and craved a human interaction. And so this is the dynamic that we set ourselves up with. Isolating might feel comfortable and safe, but yet we're always going to feel that need to connect with others because the quality of our lives are dictated by the quality of our relationships. So if we have healthy relationships around us, this helps to keep us balanced. This helps to prevent us from going into these deeper patterns of rumination as highly sensitive people, into these darker places in our mind that could be, somebody else might be like, hey, this is how I see it, and offer a different perspective for us that might prevent us from going down those paths. And so, isolating seems like the safest option, easy to do, not something we want to do. And on the other hand, leaning is kind of like the opposite curve, right? If we, as a strategy, right? Strategies are behavior patterns that we use to get something accomplished. Like I have a strategy for brushing my teeth. I open the tube of toothpaste, put some toothpaste on my toothbrush, I brush my teeth, and that's how I get it accomplished. A strategy is a collection of behavior patterns that accomplishes a goal. And obviously this goal as a highly sensitive person is to feel emotionally safe or feel emotionally comfortable or mitigate the amount of data that is coming in, right? Essentially to keep ourselves sane. These are strategies we're using to keep ourselves sane, and these are not strategies that we want to lean on permanently. Leaning is on the opposite end of isolation, right? If we're isolating, we're not talking to anybody, we're kind of just sequestering ourselves as hermits. If we're leaning, we are really latching onto someone and having them help us. Again, these are both things that I have done. I admit I use them not because I was in an emergency situation, but I didn't know any better, that there were healthier things for me to do that would actually work better and help me out. So leaning. Leaning is relying on any other person to save us, right? To talk things out with us constantly, kind of like a counselor relationship between yourself and either a family member or a friend. This also creates addictive relationships, right? So if you need someone to help you, you are setting up a toxic imbalance. I also want to refer you to my video on how to control emotions in love, where I kind of go, I'll put the link above, I kind of go deeper into this because in love especially, we tend to either put people up on a pedestal above us or we are the ones on the pedestal. And those power imbalances in a relationship are what cause a lot of the drama, the toxicity, because it subtly sets up these archetypal, like either I'm better than you or I'm less than you. And that creates problems in our mind and in life and in the bigger picture of relating to somebody. So, and this also, when we need someone as a highly sensitive person, this opens us up for narcissistic situations. Now, everybody loves to blame narcissists. Again, I've been guilty of this too. Everybody loves to put all of the blame on narcissists, that, HSPs are attracted to them, that we're the victims of narcissists. But really, it's a two-way street, right? There has to be someone who is willing to be in that relationship. And so if we have this, some situations that can set this up, if we have a hero complex, like we really need to save somebody to feel good about ourselves, that can set us up for meeting a narcissist. Because they sense that, and then we go into this power dynamic again where we're kind of getting what we need because there's this false sense of helping them, but then they're hurting us, and 50% of that is us. Like as highly sensitive people, we really need to acknowledge the wounds that we have that put us in these situations. And that's important because it's easy to just blame someone else. But that is a part of the unhealthy power dynamic when you put someone below you and say, you were to blame for this. Because when we look at ourselves and say, okay, I also had a wound. I had a wound that drew me to you, and we entered into this circular toxic relationship together. So, yeah, taking responsibility for ourselves as HSP, super important. And so again, when we're leaning on someone, it opens us up for addictive relationships with narcissists. It opens us up to put stress on otherwise healthy relationships, maybe with friends or family members, where we need them, when we're having an emotional emergency, to talk us down or to make us feel better, when we could learn how to do that for ourselves. So, and so if you're leaning on someone really hard, if you're maybe a partner, a friend, a parent, a brother or sister, it puts a lot of stress on the relationship. And again, it's not good for us as highly sensitive people. It's not a great strategy to keep ourselves sane because it puts pressure on the other person to save us all the time when we could learn how to save ourselves. And that is always an option. So, what do we do instead? So there are much, much healthier strategies out there for us. I recommend checking out the video. I'll put I'll put the link above for highly sensitive person coping strategies, 10 quick tips. Essentially what it boils down to is a lot of really good self-care rituals, getting to know yourself on deeper and deeper levels as a highly sensitive person and how you tick. moving into, doing a lot of the inner work, your inner child work, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, and recognizing that the world is a place that, as a highly sensitive person, isn't yet set up for us. And one day it might be, but for now, we have to add that extra bit of self-care in order to really thrive as an HSP. So I hope this helped you today. If you are an HSP who is using either of these strategies to keep yourself sane right now, I urge you to reach out to me. I can help you if you're stuck in either one of these to develop healthier coping strategies and learn how to relate to yourself better so you can go from flammable to fireproof, which is exactly the program name. So you'll find that we have free consultations on my website, 30 minutes you get to talk to me, and we'll figure out at least a better strategy so that you can feel better and up level as a highly sensitive person. Check that out on emotionalfireacademy.com and have a wonderful day today. Bye.